Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah!
Yeah!
We got it! We got it!
New 52 book.
Somebody clip this for the love.
Welcome to Comics League Movie Night. I'm Jared. I'm here with Teladia Plays. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm back.
And today we are talking about Justice League versus the Fatal Five, otherwise known as the Justice League Unlimited movie. And also a closet Jessica Cruz Green Lantern movie. So I'm like, yes!
Finally, acknowledgement.
Yeah, and a Legion of Superheroes movie. So there's like a lot of stuff that's going on here. So basically, here's the context. So this was the reunion movie for the DCAU actors. In other words, everyone came back except for like Martian Manhunter and John. But they explained that saying, okay, so they're in space dealing with like a Rand-Danagar war. So what happened was they released the movie and it also is kind of sad hearing Kevin Conroy's voice. So I'm like, oh man, that sucks. But so the way this works is that the Legion of Superheroes are fighting their arch nemesis, the Fatal Five, and they go back in time. Because the idea of the Fatal Five is to go back in time and take out Earth so the Legion never exists. Which is it's kind of flashpointy. But so Starboy goes back in time, but the thing is that he needs a certain like concoction in order to remain sane, and he runs out of it. So he ends up hanging out in Arkham Asylum for a time. So really crazy stuff. And then what's actually kind of cool about it is that we get to see Two-Face in Arkham Asylum, voiced by Bruce Timm.
Well, he has got double persona, just saying.
I wonder if Two-Face is a fan of Batman being with Barbara Gordon. I really wonder that. But so then I'm pulling up some trivia. So then we get like then it like jumps ahead. Hey, what's up? What's up, Thoth? How you doing, my brother? And we jump ahead some time, and then the Fatal Five like escape from their little time sphere, and then like beat Superman's ass. And it turns out, so what they're trying to do. So what happened with the Legion is that they imprisoned two Fatal Five members in the present, and they need a Green Lantern. And obviously, the only Green Lantern on Earth right now is Jessica Cruz, and she's dealing with her anxiety, which again makes her like one of the coolest Green Lantern like ideas of a character. Because again, the way Jessica Cruz works, and the reason, yeah, it does. The reason why Jessica Cruz works as a Green Lantern is because when you have a character whose whole like when you have a job in the Justice League, which is Green Lanterns, her whole job is to overcome fear. That's the way the ring works. In fact, the ring power gets weaker the more afraid you are. So obviously, Jessica Cruz is like, why am I a Green Lantern if I'm supposed to overcome fear, but I'm too afraid to leave my house? One of the only good scenes in DC Rebirth. I will maintain that. But then she meets up with Starboy. And then the Justice League show up, and then they fight. Now, what's really cool about this is that I like seeing like all the random characters. But the thing about this that's kind of odd, you notice Teladia, isn't in JLU, Jean is supposed to be the last surviving Martian?
Yes.
And then Ms. Martian literally shows up.
Which is weird.
I was like, wait, and then Bruce Timm was very clear on this because people asked him about it. It is canon. So I'm like, what? How does that? They don't really explain that.
They don't give like her backstory, which is in like what's her origin? How did she come into the Justice League?
I do find it kind of interesting how her yeah, a damn good movie, probably the final installment of the DCAU other than Crisis. Yeah, because here's the thing. When X-Men 97 came out, people were clamoring for like a JLU revival and such. But I'm like, here's why you can't do that. If Kevin Conroy were alive, you could definitely do that. But without Kevin, you can't, because here's what people forget. Kevin is the heart and soul of the DCAU. He is the most, his Batman is you can't leave out Kevin Conroy's Batman. And in this case, you can't recast him because that version and that voice of Batman were synonymous with this universe.
Yeah. There is one thing. There's like 2 or 3 options you could do for revival for DCAU, which is you do a Superman series, right?
I mean, you could, yeah.
B, you could do a Justice League Beyond where you just ignore Bruce's acknowledgement in the camera at the end of the DCAU.
We'll just have it take place after Bruce's death from old age. There you go.
Yeah. Or the third option is you do like a Batman and Robin Beyond storyline, and Bruce is not there.
Or you do a Green Lantern series. I don't want a Wonder Woman series because I don't want Bruce Timm and his people who abuse Wonder Woman to do this. No, it wouldn't be Wonder Bat because they can't touch Batman. But it's I'm just like, again, they butchered Wonder Woman in JLU. So I'm like, I don't want these people touching Wonder Woman. Granted, Ms. Martian is a white Martian. The DCAU version of the white Martian. No, actually, those were not white Martians. They actually clarified that those are not white Martians. Green Lantern isn't popular enough. That is true. That is true, Thoth. But my point is, that's like one of the ways, if they wanted to like continue this universe in other ways, you could, because it's not like Green Lantern and Batman really interact that often. With Superman, it's kind of odd. I mean, they could definitely do a Superman series revival and just not have Batman show up. It could have like Nightwing show up in the city and such.
Wonder Woman, just saying.
Or Wonder Woman, yes, there you go. And just have it where Diana was like, to think some people wanted me with Bruce. Man, it sounds like the plot that'll be written by someone that wanted Bruce with Barbara. What's up, Tavia? Yeah, this movie is great. But so what I like about this is one of those occasions where, yeah, it's a Justice League movie, but it's really a Jessica Cruz movie since she has that character arc where she becomes a Lantern, like a full-on Lantern. And I definitely really dug about how when she's all resolved, she gets the Lantern logo over her eye like she has in the comics. They did a lot to really like really build her out. You know, yeah. Once again, those white aliens are not white Martians. They look like them, but they're not. But anyway, some believe Green Lantern the animated series is actually a prequel to the DCAU. I would believe that, except when Kyle gets the ring in the Superman episode, they make it seem like he was the first Green Lantern that was human. That's why I'm not that like sold on that. Plus, why didn't Razor show up in any of this? But anyway, they weren't white Martians, but they were they were 100%. They could make her like that. But again, they never really touched on that. I wish they at least, because they're introducing a new character that's supposedly Manhunter's niece. They even call her his niece. It's kind of sad that we didn't get a sequel for this movie with more Jessica Cruz. They could do a Jessica Cruz movie. But yeah, with the original cast, they can't do it without Kevin. And you know what? I'm just happy with the way I got it here. But so anyway, it's basically the Justice League team up with Starman. And I like how you have like Starman kind of going crazy, but then Ms. Martian goes into his head. And then they kind of learn about the Fatal Five. find out the Emerald Empress is being held on Oa, and essentially the Fatal Five coerce Jessica Cruz to taking them to Oa, and then they basically fight the Green Lanterns, but then like release Emerald Empress and Validus, and they go back because again their idea is that they're going to launch the Emerald Empress's eye into space and then cause the entire like sun to go out. So it's kind of like Final Night, that event. Yeah, having Miss Martian. Okay, I guess Teladia froze. Yeah, having Miss Martian in this movie and a cameo for Tim Drake was so. Yeah. The Tim Drake thing was really funny because it's like Batman's like, I work better alone. She turns into Robin and she goes, a point taken. Dave says Hal Jordan was a statue in this movie, so we know that he has been one at one point. Yeah, exactly. Either before Kyle and John or between. I think between it is when that happens, because anytime in Unlimited they show the Green Lantern Corps, Hal, and they even show Guy as a statue in this. Hal and Guy are not like anywhere to be seen. So that's why I'm like, if Hal so we know Hal became a Lantern and so did Guy. I think that must have been like between Unlimited and this, which is weird, but you know what? If they wanted to do it as a cameo, I'll take it. There you go. I mean, I'm just glad to see more Green Lantern content and them bringing in my favorite Lanterns in this movie, which is Hal Jordan and Jessica Cruz. So I'll take it. I wasn't a big fan about how they tried to give her that code name Limelight, because she's a Green Lantern. I get that they don't want to have another Green Lantern because it's confusing. It's just weird. It's just weird and confusing. Also, seeing the Superman statue is cool, but I wonder where was Supergirl in this movie. I guess they went off. She probably is later on in that museum, so that's probably what that was. So they were like, I can't, because remember, it's probably a cost thing that they can't afford to put all these characters in there. Because fun fact, what came out is that the reason why you have so many characters like drawn in like the Crisis movie but not spoken is because they can't afford voice actors, but they can afford to draw the characters. So there was that. Right, Teladia will not be able to return because of his internet problems. So, all right. Maybe a version of Emerald Twilight happened. That could be interesting. It would kind of be like in the Beware My Power movie where they did where they put Kyle's origin on John's. They could kind of do that. Then a version of Green Lantern Rebirth could have been before Justice Unlimited in this movie. Yeah, exactly. It could be that happened, and like the Lanterns are like, we don't like to mention about how the last time we had a human Lantern, he kind of wrecked the place. So I guess you could kind of go with that, I guess. But overall, I really enjoy this movie because, for one thing, it avoids a lot of the BS that I had as a problem with the DCAU. Like, it doesn't do Wonder Bad BS. It doesn't do Batman with anyone. It just focuses on each character being who they are and being badasses. That's fine. They even, interestingly enough, here's the interesting part. That's kind of jarring at first. They gave this Wonder Woman a sword for the first time, because if you notice, in JL and JLU, she didn't have anything except the bracelets and the lasso and such. So it's kind of cool. I'm thinking this was the Gal Gadot influence on Wonder Woman at the time. So they probably told Tim, you have to give her a sword at some point. So it'll be synergy with the movies. Because we all know that Warner Brothers loves synergy, even though they sometimes ignore when it conflicts with their version of the characters. Starman and I like that because they both have this, and Tevia, it's just Tevia says, but I'll just say it for the people. Starman and Green Lantern, Jessica Cruz relationship was also fantastic. Yeah, it was, because both of them go through a sort of mental health, like, taxing journey in this movie. Like, she with anxiety, and and Teladia's in the chat, so there you go. They both go through a journey when it comes to mental health. Like, Starman goes through kind of like a memory loss / kind of going crazy arc, and Jessica Cruz goes through the I'm afraid, or I don't think I belong here. In other words, she really doesn't feel like she's a hero throughout this movie. And it's really cool seeing them play with that, I think. Yes, and I'm not used to praising the DCAU so often. So enjoy this while you can, Comics League. Enjoy this while you can. So what other questions or like points do you guys want to make about this movie? I liked all the action in this movie. Also, Starman's death was also super sad and depressing, but he went, yeah. So the idea is that, I almost said crime syndicate. Wow, that's a Freudian slip. The Fatal Fives achieves their goal. So they launch the eye into the sun, and the sun is going to essentially die out. So Starman goes in, and so the star is going to explode. And by the way, we just received a senior citizen in the back room, so I'll let him in.
I am Phoenix!
Grandpa!
Excuse me.
Looking sharp, good sir. Looking sharp.
Oh, so catch me up, brother.
Yeah, so we're talking about Justice League versus the Fatal Five. We're talking about how it's, it's kind of funny about this movie. It's a closet Legion of Superheroes / Jessica Cruz Green Lantern movie.
Yep.
Which I'm sure you'll enjoy the Legion parts of this.
Definitely.
Yeah, and we're talking about Starman's sacrifice stuff. But first off, I'll start off with this. Tell me your general thoughts on the movie.
So I do enjoy the movie. It's kind of the Justice League Unlimited sequel we never got. It does have some questionable lore implications.
Yeah, like Ms. Martian showing up, and I'm like, wait, he's the last one, though.
I mean, was he ever really the last Martian? They always found another one under some rock.
It's like Superman, where like Kara showed up, and like they're like, oh yeah, he's not the last son of Krypton.
Jor-El survived. Like half of Krypton survived the blast.
Yeah, exactly. Or Mon-El survived and all that.
Well, he's a Daxonite. That's a little bit different.
But it's still like Kryptonians. Yeah, but like one of the I was saying, what's kind of funny about this movie? Here's why I like it so much. It does away with a lot of the BS stuff that actually, Nick, you and I ranted about in Justice League. They basically say Batman never was interested in Wonder Woman. Go away. Go away. He was never interested in Batgirl. Just stay there. Just
stay in your corner, Bruce.
Stay in your corner, Bruce. Damn. And for those of you that say, well, Bruce Timm was not really the main force. If he was one of the head creatives of the show, he could have vetoed it. And Atchison's like, wait, Nick, why are you dripped out? Well, maybe because he's secretly Bruce Wayne, only much older. And Dave says DC needs to do a movie or series for James Robinson Starman from the 90s. That's one of the greatest runs in DC Comics history, bar none. Yeah, that would be fun. The problem with that, Dave, that's a great idea. It's just Starman is not. I mean, they could do an animated movie or like an animated short, but they can't do a movie like in the theaters. I don't know if you meant that, because it runs into the same problem that like Blue Beetle ran into. Because the thing about it is, like, when you make movies about obscure characters, and this is what James Gunn's going to run into if his universe isn't good, people won't show up if they don't know who the character is. They did that with Blue Beetle. It was not because of Zack Snyder. But let me go back to just some questions we had while I wait for Nick. Question, how do you feel about the Fatal Five as a whole for villains? Because for me, I thought they were really cool. Yeah, I felt that they were really cool because it's not... They kind of, in a way, were like kind of the crime syndicate in the sense that they're kind of like foils for the Justice League, or more accurately in this sense, the Legion. So it's kind of interesting. And I like how like they essentially like coerced Jessica Cruz saying, hey, we planted bombs everywhere. If you don't help us, all these bombs are going to go off and then kill everyone. So they're very intimidating enemies. So I really enjoy that. I'm surprised we never got a Stargirl animated movie because her show was good. Yes, that would be interesting. Stargirl, that would be a good continuation. But Nick, let me ask you this: as a Legion of Superheroes fan, talk about this. Let's go.
I think it's a fairly good representation. They seem to love to hint at the Legion, but they don't really dive much into it. Like, we had the animated show in the late 2000s, and they've made appearances here and there. They have a rich history of the comics.
They also had the Tomorrowverse movie.
Exactly, and it's just I don't know. I always love seeing some Legion.
Of course, Dave says obscure character movies can work if they're part of a successful film universe. It would work better as a live action series, though, set in the 90s. Yeah, he's talking about Starman. Again, this is all dependent if James Gunn's DC universe is successful. But anyway, Tevia says, question, speaking of Legion's villains, that reminds me, if this movie did get a sequel, what other Legion villains would you like to see in a movie? Nick, you're the Legion guy, so...
Probably the Legion of Supervillains. I mean, honestly, I am a bit of a stan for Jeff Johns' Superman Legion of Superheroes run.
No, really? I would never have guessed that. And Teladia's back. How you doing, brother? Is your internet stable?
Hopefully.
All right. So what I like about this movie, and Tevia brought it up earlier about the whole interaction between Jessica and Starman, because they both kind of go through a mental health journey throughout this entire movie. Him with like struggling to keep like a handle on what reality is, and her going through her anxiety period. And I really felt that like the representation of mental health in this movie was done really well.
I would agree.
Exactly. And Nick looks like he's going to pay respects at someone's wedding. Yeah, what you don't know is that he had to go to the wedding of Nightwing and Batgirl.
This is a Jared show.
I actually was sat next to a former DC Comics creator, and I brought up a big argument. I can't remember who. I actually didn't. But he shipped Clois.
That's okay. He's allowed to be wrong. By the way, Nick, real quick, before we went live flying out to talk about this, did you see? So you remember last night when we were talking about that AI generated Superman cover?
Yeah.
Do you know who did that cover? Remember a couple of months back, there was a Detective Comics artist that was accused of using AI on like the Joker on the cross and stuff? It's that guy. And apparently, allegedly, this is not the first time he is involved in AI and tracing.
You know what this says to me is that there's kind of a lack of oversight with DC's editorial. Because, like, I'm sorry, all it would take would take one editor to look at it for more than 5 seconds and realize it is AI. I mean, sorry, it is glaringly obvious. That tells me that there is a lack of check and balances.
Yeah, exactly. Because DC editorial is not checking. But anyway, so I no, it's not Greg Land, Tevia. Close, it's not Greg Land.
At this point, I'll take Greg Land over this crap.
So here's the at
least Greg Land is putting in effort.
So shout out to Neb's Good Takes, because he made a thread of this particular artist, Francesco Mattina, his history of tracing art several times. So he did this with his theft was first noticed in May 2017, where Bleeding Cool posted an article noting that it looked like Mattina traced Ian McDonald's premium Sideshow Collectibles art print for his Venomized cover of Jean Grey #1. So that's the first time. Later in 2017, Jae-Hoon Lee accused Francisco Mattina of tracing his piece for a variant of Venom 150, which you can see here. Yeah, there you go. 1 week later, Bleeding Cool posted an article and it appeared that Mattina had traced a digital Magneto sculpt by CG artist Daniel Bell, currently art director of Sideshow, for his Venomized Astonishing X-Men cover. Then in 2019, Walter O'Neill III, former art director of Sideshow Collectibles, posted a post accusing Mattina of tracing his Punisher art for a variant cover of The Batman Who Laughs #2. While seemingly a generic pose, the hand and gun placements line up perfectly. So there is that. And then in Walter's post, he also mentioned how Mattina had blatantly traced the Judge Dredd art piece by Greg Staples, who also made art prints for Sideshow. It seems he just goes to the Sideshow art prints and just copies off of that. Walter also noted that Mattina's variant cover of Batman 55 was also traced from an older Batman piece commissioned by Gabriel Del Otto, who, by the way, has made prints for Sideshow Collectibles. At the end of the Bleeding Cool article covering this incident, a post by artist Adi Granov, who, you guessed it, also sells prints on Sideshow Collectibles, was shown saying Mattina had traced his work too. Writer Rich Johnson then noted Marvel had cut ties with Mattina in 2018. Interesting. So Marvel did that. And then in 2020, comic artist Alex Garner accused comic artist Francisco Mattina of tracing his Annihilation Scourge Alpha variant cover for Flash. Naturally, Alex Garner also sells prints on Sideshow. I'm detecting a pattern. And then additionally, while in the comments of Garner's post, I saw that Sean Strange C posted an image showing Mattina had also traced his variant for Joker #1. My gosh! Why don't they fire this guy? Because there's not enough of an outcry, Tevia, for that to happen. Dave says Jessica Cruz is a great character. She fits alongside Hal John Guy. Yeah, the other newer Human Lanterns, not so much. Yeah, like the problem with Simon is that he has a good idea, but they never did anything with that. And obviously here at this point, you may have noticed that while Mattina does trace from other artists, he still has the ability to draw his own digital art, yet continues to plagiarize regardless. You may also wonder why DC still works with him, and here's the answer. So the thing is like, all right, so we have here, I'm trying to find these pictures. I'm trying to see why he can't file defamation. It's smart by ignoring it. Love you. Is that all digital? If you met with anyone in programs or Photoshop, it's fairly easy to job. I'm trying to find the reason. I'm trying to find distinctly the reason why. It's probably because you don't like own the composition or something like that. But still, it's like you're copying it. And it shows you yesterday, DC revealed their September 2024 solicits, in which Francisco Mattina had variant covers for Superman 18, Batman the Brave and the Bold 17, and Action 1069. People immediately noticed that all three of these seem to be AI generated. So we have this Superman one. Oh, yeah, that's AI. That is definitely AI. Check this out, boys.
The S symbol.
That and like, because AI has a certain rubbery feel to it. And I'm like, wow. And then you also have the Batman one. Let's see that one. Yeah. Again, it still has that like CGI look to it.
Yeah.
It says here, it's very important to be careful when accusing artists of using AI, as these programs master styles of prominent digital artists and blur effects. Thankfully, I don't have to be careful here, since Mattina wasn't careful either. So we have this S. So I love that line by Neb. So you see the Superman S. Also, here's the thing. Here's how you know it's AI. I just noticed this other issue. It's not necessarily, I'm going to lower the banner. It's not necessarily the S. Look at how the S has another S curl here. So it's got this and then this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's that. Yeah. And the bat logo, I'm trying to see where else with the bat logo. I guess one area is like messed up. I'm trying to see what makes that AI there. But yeah, the shine on the S is weird. And Neb also adds, several artists have since called him out for this over the past 24 hours, including Adi Garnov, who mentioned earlier in the thread. And that all being said, DC has made it clear that they'll continue to work with Mattina unless there's enough loud pushback, which seems pretty achievable right now. Yeah, so to your point, Tevia, because there's not a lot of pushback, I think that's why they still go with it. But eventually it will eventually, yeah. neck had to run. It's all good. But anyway, eventually, I think if there's enough pushback, they will start doing this because DC can't afford really, really bad PR. And I'm sorry. Say what you want about like DC standards or lack thereof. Warner Brothers is not going to keep tolerating all this negative press for
Nope.
DC. Eventually, they're going to go, okay, stop. Just stop. Hey, some of my favorite DC artists are ones from South America. Hey, that's cool, dude. I'm not saying it's because of that, but all AI art has that uncanny valley. Yeah, exactly. Damn, DC has some high standards for picking artists. LOL, hell, I'd rather go back to finding cheap South. Oh, okay, so that's what you're referring to. It's really odd that. Here's the thing, though. An art editor is not watching this. I don't know. It's kind of odd.
It's weird. It's weird.
But anyway, back to the movie. All in all, I would say that this movie is really, really cool. It fixes a lot of my issues with the DCAU. And I think, let me put it this way, if somehow they were going to actually continue the DCAU and they decided to like use this movie as a basis, somehow they could figure it out, I would be fine with it. It's just a lot of the stuff. It's just obviously the one thing keeping them from reviving this universe is Kevin. That's it. So there you go. And then says, definitely some good ones from South America, but DC hired them because they could pay them almost nothing. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the movie's like, I give this movie a 10 out of 10. It's pretty dope. How about you, Teladia?
Same 10 out of 10 for two reasons. First is to bring back the reunition of the Justice League reunion special, and the second thing is the mental health awareness.
Yeah,
and
I dug this. This movie did definitely, like I said, dealt with mental health in a respectful way, but not a pandering / like patronizing way. Which you could argue the Flash with Barry saying, "I don't really relate to people that well," kind of fell into that trap. But okay, so let's do a Q&A. What do you guys think? You can ask us anything you wish.
Anything you want to ask me, you can. You can ask me anything. You can ask Jared anything.
Let's do this. All right, and I will change the background. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so let me know anything. You have 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10 at the very least, a great ending. Yeah, exactly. Fantastic. So what questions do you guys have? What are the burning DC and Marvel questions that have
or gaming questions
that have been eating away at you for so long? At least, so while people type out questions, so Teladia, it's very comforting to know that at least Rocksteady will be what are your hopes for this new DC Ultimate Universe? Okay, and by the way, actually, that's a great question. So we'll start with that.
Yeah,
my hope starting is Superman and Wonder Woman. Yes, but I think don't repeat the same mistakes of the new 52. Don't do the same stuff that you would do in the regular continuity in here just because you can. In other words, don't make the other universe, don't make the Ultimate Universe just like the regular one, which I have some like insider stuff that I can't say on the on stream, but I will say it looks like they're taking my advice. Do you even know if the DC Ultimate Universe is a real thing? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because even when I talked about comics, when I talked to Benny about it, he treated it a lot like it was a real thing. So I'm gonna treat it as if it's right. Tabby says, speaking of Legion, how do you guys feel about Bendis' Legion? I didn't read it.
No, I didn't read it.
I didn't read. Almost getting an animated series that was going to be R-rated. Well, it's going to get an R. Well, I'm glad it's not, because I get the feeling that a DC was like, no. We're not dealing with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wanted to ask me a question, Jared?
Yeah. So it's comforting to know. In terms of actually, you know, they keep asking great questions. Who is your favorite Marvel hero? Okay,
Spider-Man.
And then on my side, it's Venom.
We're gonna fight now, Jared.
Oh,
Come on.
yeah. Oh, it's on, bro. But in terms of like general hero, I would go with Captain America. Dave says Pentas Detective comic rejected. Yeah. Honestly, you guys dodged a bullet with Bendis' Legion because you know what's interesting, Teladia?
Yeah.
Everything Bendis did at DC was horrible. Literally, the guy did not have one win. Because because Superman was atrocious, Legion was bad, and it's like his Young Justice was horrible, and even his what was the thing? Even his
Superman.
Yeah, it's
his Superman book.
Yeah, the Superman was bad, Legion was bad. Let me put it this way, everything was bad.
Everything that he did was bad, yeah.
That's why if you notice, DC, as soon as he was gone, like retconned like practically everything he did out. Except John is the one thing, because they can't really, unless they want a lot of PR backlash, they can't retcon him out. Because otherwise they would. Because he's the last thing. Actually says, if you could have any writer come back to DC to do a full run, who would you pick? Writer Jeff Johns to do Green Lantern. Oh, no. I'm going to change that. Charles Soule to come back and complete the Superman and Wonder Woman story he was writing in the New 52.
Yeah, same. Favorite DC character and indie character, because for me, you know, DC obviously, but for indie character who's
Invincible. Okay, that's a good one. So for DC character, it's either Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman. Favorite indie character is, I gotta go with, honestly, I'll go with Invincible. I'll go Invincible. Not counting any of the books that I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible, because obviously I like Screecher and Hero and 2100 Samurai, but I'm going off of that. I'm distancing myself from that.
Tab, yeah, you put
and Witchblade.
For me, favorite is Superman, then Batman and Wonder Woman. And as for indie, I would have to say Homelander.
Oh, that's a good one. That's an interesting one. If you could pick 5 writers to lead DC, who would they be? Charles Soule, Jeff Johns, Jonathan Hickman, Scott Snyder. Yeah, so that's about 4. And last one would probably be not John Byrne, obviously.
Mark Waid.
You know what? Screw it. Brad Meltzer, because he had a great JLA run. Tevia says, if you could have any writer from Marvel take over Amazing Spider-Man, Peter J. Tomasi and Jorge Menez, that could work actually for Spider-Man. But here's the thing, Tevia, are you sure that he would go with the Mary Jane and Peter together? Because you could get him on there, and he has other ideas.
Tevia, that's a bad idea.
And again, Tevia, like Gabe said on my show yesterday, it doesn't matter if they change writers. They have to get rid of the editor. Nick Lowe is the problem here. It's not necessarily the writer. It's the writer gets the blame, but a lot of times it's the editor that leads to all these really bad decisions, like Paul and like the breakup and such. So so it's not necessarily the Zeb Well. Zeb Wells is not necessarily the problem here.
Yeah. So you wanted to ask me about
So, okay. So let me see if I can get this question out before another one comes in. It's comforting knowing that Suicide Squad is at least being allowed to complete its story, unlike Avengers, because Avengers it just cut it off. Suicide Squad and WB has been upfront about this. They're saying they're getting to complete the roadmap. Anything past that, we haven't discussed. Because they kind of have to, because they obviously want to make more Arkham games, and they can't make an Arkham Justice League game if the Justice League are dead.
Here's what I think will be the case. They'll bring back the Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
They'll finish after Season 4, Season 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then afterwards, you'll get your single-player Justice League game or your single-player Arkham Batman game, right?
Exactly.
That's the way I see it. I know Tevia is going to say, what about my Superman game? Tevia, there's been another leaker now that has also stated that WB Games are going to be doing a DCU game, and it's going to be a Superman.
Yeah, interesting.
So, and I did send this to Jared. Jared knows and who that person is.
Atchison says, not counting superhero films, what are some of your favorite films? Lone Survivor, American Sniper, 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. I'm a big military film nerd.
Yeah.
In terms of comedies, any of the Anchorman movies, those are awesome. Well, that escalated quick. And honestly, maybe Star Wars Episode 3. How about you, Teladia?
For me, James Bond, as always. I'm a Brit. So
yeah, it's kind of required, right?
It's kind of required, yeah. So James Bond. I also like action films like Bruce Willis Die Hard, and I also like Tomb Raider. I recently watched Uncharted. Yes, the one which had Tom Holland play Nathan Drake. I also watched that. I also really enjoyed rom-coms as well. Rom-coms are pretty much something I like to have a laugh and giggle at. So a recent one I watch is you Anyone But You, which is a great film to watch, which features Glenn Powell. Could be our booster goal, just saying. So we got a question, by the way.
Yeah, Terry says, who would you have take over as editor? I don't know that much about the guys at Marvel, so I can't really answer that. Wait, so, DCU game, does that mean a movie tie-in for Superman? Teladia, go ahead.
Okay, so from what I saw on Twitter and what I've been told, it won't be like, like how Superman Returns was. It won't be like that. It'd be like connected to how either takes place before the events of Superman or after the events of Superman the movie.
Here's what they could do. They could make the game that Superman's origin story.
Exactly.
Because what they could do, here's how they can effectively tie in the games. Make the games tell the stories that everyone already knows, like Superman's origin, Batman's origin. Just do that, because then yeah, you don't have to watch that because you know Superman's origin.
And James Gunn is doubling down on gaming as well. He literally, you posted in the group chat, wasn't it, about the gaming stuff?
Yeah, he said he's going to tie in gaming, which I'm like, there's a way he can do this. Again, that's the way you could do this. Make it make it stories that no one's because if someone goes, oh, it's tying into the movie, but it's the Superman origin story. I know the Superman's origin story. I don't have to play that, and they'll just go watch that. There you go. That's the way you do that effectively. Dave says Jeff Johns, Grant Morrison, James Robinson, Ed Brubaker, and Jeff Lemire. That is an excellent lineup, Dave. That is excellent. By the way, Teladia, Ed Brubaker is the one who revolutionized Captain America. He's where you get the Winter Soldier from.
Problem with tying games to a film universe is delays and the risk of rushing games or movie to tie it. But here's the thing, though, Dave. Here's the thing. From what we know about what James Gunn is doing, he won't directly connected to the movie like how it previously was, where everything was tying in and everything was rushed. Literally, this game could get announced next year and could be released in 2026 or 2027, right? It makes sense. And you still got the Wonder Woman game, we still don't know any information of about. Hopefully we'll get some information about that either at the end of this year or next year. Hopefully we'll get something for that. But Atchison says, what's your top 5 New 52 runs and your Beast top 5?
All right. So in terms of my top 5, Superman by Grant Morrison, Batman by Scott Snyder, Charles Sewell's Superman and Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Justice League by Jeff Johns, obviously,
which we're covering.
Of 5, you know what? I'm going to do this. Francis Manapul on The Flash. Top 5 least favorite. Tomasi on anything except for Green Lantern. Let's see.
Batman Bendis.
Well, New 52. Bendis was not DC. Teen Titans, obviously, because that was a terrible book. Let's see what else.
Future's End.
Yeah, Future's End, Convergence, those count because those are comic runs. And probably I need one more. I'm gonna give you 4 because I don't really have like least favorites. In terms of top 5 rebirth, I would say Trinity was pretty decent except for some moments. Green Lantern Corps, Batman by Tom King up for the first like 50 issues, and Aquaman. Oh, you know what? My 5th favorite. I'm gonna add an honorable mention for favorite new 52 run, Aquaman. And then least favorite, and then top 5 least favorite rebirths. Everything else in rebirth.
Yeah,
but go ahead, Teladia.
For my top 5 is Justice versus Superman, of course. Superman and Wonder Woman, Justice League, because I'm enjoying Justice League action comics, and I'm gonna put out there, you forgot about this, Scott Snyder's run on the Court of Owls.
Well, I said that it's Batman.
Well, Batman, technically, yeah.
It's his entire run because the entire run is fantastic.
Yeah. Atchison says, as bad as they were, I miss the days of movie tie-in games.
The Superman game, the Superman Returns game, yeah, it was flawed, but it showed that how to at least do the health system well. It showed that it's possible to make a Superman game.
Yeah, there was a potential for flying mechanics as well.
Yeah. What if the Wonder Woman game is the first? But here's the thing, Dave. From what we do know in Teladia, you can weigh on this. The Wonder Woman game is not a DCU tie-in.
No, the Wonder Woman game is not a DCU tie-in game. Otherwise, James Gunn would have stated, "Oh, the Monolith Productions video game for Wonder Woman is connected to our universe." He would have said something by now, and the thing is, I don't think he'll say anything in regard to that game. I reckon we probably won't see anything till probably maybe end of this year, or maybe Gamescom, maybe one of the two, if I had to guess. Because as we all know, WB tends to rush things, and look what happens to rush productions. For example, Suicide Squad, they rushed it, and it had to be delayed by a few years.
Tavia asked top 5 favorite Marvel stories, top 5 least favorite. Okay, top 5 Marvel stories is King in Black, Secret Invasion, The Winter Soldier, Siege, and then Avengers versus X-Men. Least favorite is One More Day, Sins Past, Secret Empire.
One More Day.
I already said that. Probably it's another
Civil War 2.
Yeah, Civil War 2. Thank you. And anything involving Captain Marvel. Top 5 DCU series. I do not have one because DCU was a mistake. That's it.
Yeah.
Some lesser known new 52 comics I like. I Vampire were fantastic too, but canceled. Here's a good series, Dave. And this is one that they took an idea that I've always had, and it works really well. All right.
Jared showing off his books again, guys. He has to.
Yes, I am.
That's why he's known as the Comics Lord.
Men of War by Ivan Brandon. So this book is basically a bunch of special operations guys doing operations in a world with superhumans, and they're fighting terrorists that have metahumans at their disposal. It's really cool. Speaking of Suicide Squad, reminds me the IP not doing so well in anything like games, movies, TV show. Do you think WB is going to bury this IP? Yep, 100%.
They're gonna stop anything Suicide Squad related. Is going to go forward now? Like any like, let's say, animation, video games, movies, they probably won't do anything with
which is
IP.
Funny because with the Creature Commandos thing basically marking itself like Suicide Squad, I think that could be it could either be a blessing or a curse, because if you get because if you tell people it's like Suicide Squad but not, maybe they'll be like, okay, that's very interesting, I'll go check that out. Or they'll be like Yeah, go ahead.
But mind you, Creature Commando's already in James Gunn's head before
Yeah.
even when he was the head of DC.
The reception of Creature Commandos is going to be interesting because we'll watch to see like how many views it gets and stuff, and then we'll see if it's really popular. Do you guys want Injustice 3? Yes.
Yes, of course.
Except, can they make the story like maybe redeeming Superman instead of just he's good and then bad? If so, what's the roster? Okay, that's actually a good question. Let's do that.
Let's do that. Okay.
Obviously, the main Justice League, obviously.
Yes.
Who hasn't been in the games? I don't want Cyborg again. Black Adam, because they keep trying to push Black Adam.
Superboy, because we haven't had Superboy in the game yet.
Good one. Connor. We've had Dr. Fate. Maybe Batgirl, because she was a DLC
we had
character. Okay. Yeah, okay.
We had Batgirl in the DLC.
Not Peacemaker, please, for the love of God, no.
Well, Peacemaker won't be in it because he's already in MK1, so they won't put him in there.
Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf? Yeah, I can see
Darkseid was in there, but not Steppenwolf. Maybe
Calabac.
Big Barda. Calabac, cool, yeah. Maybe Big Barda. The Anti-Monitor.
That would set up. That would be a good story to have the Anti-Monitor to try and wipe out universe or whatever.
Yeah, with Crisis and everything. Dave wants the Question with a Rorschach skin. That's cool. I want Cassie Sandsmark and Tim Drake. That would work. That would be cool. The Suicide Squad could have been huge at the Air movie, but DC kept squandering it. Yeah.
Yeah. Tevia says, speaking of questions, speaking of DC games, that reminds me, do you think we'll ever get a Justice League game at this point?
Yes.
And if so, who would be on the team? Because for me, I want the Justice League from the Justice League animated series.
Tevia, like we said before when we were talking about Suicide Squad, the game will probably be a single player Justice League game with the Suicide Squad lineup.
Sorry, you mean the Justice League animated series lineup?
No. Because he's talking about if we'll ever get a Justice League game, and
I know
the lineup. But I'm like, it's in all likelihood, it's going to be the Suicide Squad Justice League lineup.
I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
Because I don't think Martian Manhunter is ever brought up in
the story.
Squad.
No, not in the story. No. Mm-hmm. So, but I'll say this, right? If we do get a Justice League game, and it's gonna be top notch, you better sure that me and Jared are gonna be streaming that together.
Oh hell yeah! What they can do is make it single player, but have the capacity for co-op. Just do that.
Like Gears of War, just saying.
But isn't that lineup only 5 and not 7? Yeah, but they can't just bring in Martian Manhunter.
It has to be a 7. It has to be 5, Tevia, because a 2 or 3 player co-op would be fun.
Yeah,
just saying.
They're not going to bring in 7 people because there's too many characters to juggle.
Too crowded.
Why do you think we only got 4 Suicide Squad members at first?
Yeah. And the same thing in Avengers. We only had 4 people to play with in Avengers.
Yeah, at once. They slowly added in new characters, but the point is, they're and the problem is, Tevia, is that Martian Manhunt is that the problem with doing the show lineup is because there's like a generational divide from that in terms of the general audience. Yes, in the comics we had that with Scott Snyder, but it wasn't like that was like the movie Justice League lineup. If that were the movie Justice League lineup, I would say they could probably push for that.
Yeah, but I think the way we got going with DC right now, they need to focus on single player story driven games.
Yep.
They don't need to double down and say, look, we're gonna make AAA multiplayer games, live service games that it's gonna bankrupt them. That's the problem. They don't realize that if they continue to go down that road, it's gonna bankrupt them. That's why I believe what James Gunn is gonna do is gonna come in and start up his DCU gaming stuff next year. I think that's what's gonna be the case. We're gonna get the Wonder Woman game regardless. That's gonna happen, but we're gonna start off with the DCU game from James Gunn. I think that's gonna be another thing too.
Yeah. So that's that could be a good CLD topic for later, but I think it's a good place to leave it. So for all your information, tonight at 9, Britt and I will be going live to do a full-on super wonderful Q&A with all you guys. You can ask us any questions you want, and we'll answer them. And in terms, so that's gonna be the Super Wonder show for this week, and yeah, I'll update you in terms of topics of like our streams later on. I have to ask JJheat about his movie night pick. Tevis is speaking of DC. Is how would you guys make an RP? No, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. No.
In terms of like Under Two Capes, I might do another live stream. We'll see what happens with that. In terms of commentary, I may do like a video about the Flash. I was thinking about that today. I may do a Flash episode. Okay. But and nickname says World Superman cut Lois out of the game. Thank you. Yes. And yes, that would be a
no dialogue of Lois at all.
No, just completely eliminate her from the story because she plays zero role in that story besides being a damsel in distress, which is the role she normally plays. But anyway, it's Teladia. Where can we find you, and what have you got coming out on your channel?
So you guys can follow me on Twitter at Teladia Plays _ You can check me out there. On my YouTube page, which is at Teladia Plays, you can subscribe there. I will be doing live reactions to my adventures with Superman tomorrow with Jared, episodes 4 and 5. Me and him are going to react to daughter and father-daughter time and a Supergirl episode. So we'll be reacting to that. And also, next week is the return of Snyder Fans Read Comics. And Jared and I are going to be doing that on Wednesday. Jared still owes me image for that. So he owes me for that. And I may do a Man of Steel watch party next week or the week after. I haven't decided yet. I'll let you guys know on that frontier. But there will be a stream with JJheat that I've got to be doing. So
all right. So stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs with General Zod, Zois, and Maxabat for life. See you later.